Hello friends, and thank you for joining for a core workout. Miss Laura, my friend here, has signed up. She didn't know before she got here that she was signing up for a core class, but she is, and so are you. So go ahead and lie down on your mat. You may or may not want to block. You can just have that handy. If you don't have one, you can have a book or some such thing, and all said and done, you can probably do without it, right? Lying on your back with the feet on the ground and the knees bent. Have the feet just a little wider than the hips and let the knees move towards one another. Notice I didn't say they touch each other, they move towards one another, right? The purpose being softening of the hips. And then close the eyes once you get settled in. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have you put your hands on your abdomen. It can be 1 or 2, whatever's most comfortable for you, but you're going to have them just about 2 inches, the center of your palm, 2 inches above your belly button or your navel. And then close the eyes and start to settle into that. Notice what's happening in the body, and if you have tension anywhere, and try to release that. We don't have to hold on to anything right now. And then bring your awareness into your breath. And I don't want you to change the breath. I just want you to notice the breath underneath your hands. And start to notice what happens to the abdomen as you breathe. Right? A lot of yoga teachers talk about bringing the breath down into the belly. Now you do not have lungs there, but what happens is you have a diaphragm underneath your lungs, a strong sheath of muscle that runs horizontally. As you inhale, that diaphragm moves down, slightly displacing, right, or moving the abdominal cavity, and that's what's happening when the belly moves into your hand on your inhale. And when you exhale, that diaphragm moves up to push the air, expel the air out of the lungs, and then that abdominal cavity moves back down, right, towards the spine, or away from your hands, I could say. So go ahead and just notice that, and just have an awareness of anatomically what is happening inside your body, right? The more we know, I think the smarter we are, the healthier we are, because we treat our body a little better, right? So just underneath your hands, up on the upper part of your hands, is that diaphragm that's moving in order to create the breath, moving in and out of the lungs. You're going to go ahead and bring your hands down by your side, right? And then from there, go ahead and let the knees separate. Walk the feet back in until the feet are hip distance. And we're going to start with just a really nice, light core action here. So for this one, the feet will stay on the ground with the knees bent. The arms can just be nice and soft by the side. With an inhale, let the belly rise, right? And the exhale, when the belly naturally moves towards the spine, I want you to bring the right knee in towards the chest. You're not going to interlace or grab it. You're just going to start to lift the leg up, yeah? And then with the inhale, you'll bring the right leg back down. You'll catch me on the left. And on the exhale, the left knee starts to move in towards the chest. You're not interlacing. The hands stay down on the ground. You got it. And then inhale, go ahead and bring that left leg down. And exhale, as the belly moves down, the right knee moves in towards the chest. And again, you're not interlacing right now. You're just solely using abdomen. Go ahead and inhale that right leg back down. And exhale, bring the left leg in towards the body. Move nice and slow with the breath. Inhale, go ahead and take that whole inhale to bring that all the way back down. And then this time, you're going to go ahead and you're going to bring the right leg in towards the body. And you're going to pause there. This time you can interlace around the thigh or in front of the shin, right, whichever one feels most comfortable. And you're going to extend your left leg all the way out. Go ahead and have that leg come all the way down to the ground. The weight is on the earth. You're flexing the foot and pushing the heel into an imaginary wall, just like you would if that leg was in Tadasana or mountain pose. And then from there, go ahead and take an inhale. And with an exhale, let that right leg go all the way back out to meet the left. Now, if that feels like it's too much in your low back, put the foot on the ground and then scoot it out from that point, yeah? And then with an inhale, bring the left leg into the body, leaving the right leg extended and working, right? And we'll pause here for just a moment and work it, then we'll move on the breath. You're flexing that left foot, pushing the pushing the right heel into an imaginary wall. You can grab onto that leg, right? And we don't pull it in so much, right? We're just letting the leg come towards the body for this particular move today. Take an inhale. And then with the exhale, the left leg extends all the way out. Again, feel free to put the foot on the ground if the low back is hurting and push it forward from there. Inhale, go ahead and bring the right leg in towards the body. And exhale, extend the leg out, keeping the low abdomen pulling down. Inhale, left leg is gonna come in towards the body. And exhale, go ahead and let that leg come on out. Inhale the right leg in towards the body. This time if you want to interlace, and go ahead and hug in towards, nose towards knee a little bit. And go ahead and roll the upper body back down. Go ahead and extend the leg all the way back out. And with an inhale, bring the left leg into the body. With your exhale, you might interlace and pull the upper body up lightly. And then roll back down, inhale the upper body. And exhale, release that leg all the way back out. Now go ahead and bring the right leg in towards the chest. And then you're going to bring the left leg in towards the chest. And then from there, go ahead and interlace behind the thighs or in front of the shins and just rock right to left. And just take a second, right? So we're going to keep going into the core, and we'll just get a little deeper and a little deeper with that. And that's just kind of the first foray into that work, right? Now from there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move into tabletop. So you're going to go ahead and release the feet down to the ground. I want to move into it from the ground, right? Bring your arms by your side, turn the palms down, and as you push the arms down, the collarbone gets a little broader. Stay out of the neck when we do core work. The neck loves to help out, so does the jaw. Take an inhale, and with an exhale, now you're going to bring your right leg in a tabletop position. On the exhale, as the belly moves down, that means your knee will be above your hip, your heel will be directly out from your knee. And inhale, bring that back down. So similar to where we just were, it's just a little more intense. Exhale, go ahead and bring the left leg up in a tabletop position and go ahead and move nice and slow, a little slower, Miss Laura. Inhale, go ahead and bring that back down. One more time on those. Exhale, bring the right leg up and in. And inhale, bring that back down. And again, feel that belly move down on the exhale as the left leg lifts up. So we keep the low back nice and long and supported. Now leave the left leg there, Miss Laura, and the right leg's gonna join that left leg. Go ahead and flex the feet, push the heels out. Go ahead and take an inhale from there. And exhale, bring the left leg down. And go ahead and bring the right leg back down. So now this next one goes a little something like this. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it with Miss Laura because she's kind of learning this one for the first time and it's new. I'm going to do it at a different angle, so watch Laura's body, probably a little more than mine. But you start with the feet on the ground and the knees bent, the arms are by the side. On an inhale, we're going to go ahead and we're going to lift the arms a couple of inches, reach forward, roll up a little bit by pushing our low floating ribs down. And then with the exhale, let's go ahead and push our heels forward and up. More up if this goes in the low back. You can always do tabletop if it's not feeling okay. Go ahead and bring the feet back down and then roll the upper body back down. So that's number one. We're going to do this a few more times. And inhale. Go ahead and roll up, reaching the arms up and forward. Exhale, pushing the feet forward and up, more up if it's in your low back. And inhale, bringing the feet back down. Try to lift a little higher with the upper body. And exhale, roll all the way back down. So this is our cycle. Inhale, go ahead and roll up, a baby sit up, yeah? And then exhale, go ahead and either tabletop legs or pushing the heels forward and up, more up if you need to. Inhale, go ahead and bring those legs back down. Try to lift a little higher, reach the arms a little further forward, the upper body that is. And then exhale, roll back down. You got one more of those, Miss Laura. Inhale, go ahead and start to roll up a little bit, reaching forward. Exhale, tabletop or pushing the heels forward at a 45 or higher. Go ahead and bring the legs back down, the feet to the ground. Lift a little higher. And exhale, roll back down. So before we start to move into the next one, the leg drops, let's go ahead and let's release with a twist. Walk your feet as wide as your mat. Tee your arms out. Take an inhale there, and with an exhale, let the knees swish to the right. And inhale, bring the knees back up to center. And exhale, let the knees swish to the left. We'll do that one more time on the breath. Inhale, the knees up. Exhale, knees to the right, head might turn to the left. And inhale up. And exhale, knees to the left, head might turn to the right. And bring the knees and the head back up. Walk the feet back into hip distance. We got one more piece here on the ground before we come up. For this one, you're going to literally grab the outer edges of your mat. Yeah? And then from there, shoulder blades down the back. You're going to push your mat a little forward. And notice how that slides the shoulder blades down. The collarbone broadens, right? And hopefully there's a lengthening of the buttocks towards your heels. Now from there, you're going to go ahead and you're going to reach your right leg up towards the sky, the heel. Right? And reach the left leg up towards the heel. Now if you have tight hamstrings, both feet, If you have tight hamstrings, right, and you can't get to that 90-degree angle, you're gonna bend the knees a little bit until your heels are over your hips so that you're not already engaging the core like crazy. We want this to be a more neutral position. We'll engage it plenty in just a second. You can go ahead and glue those heels together. It's a little easier for doing double heel drops, right? They're called drops. I don't like the word drops. You're actually reaching. Take an inhale, push the mat forward, keep the collarbone, the low belly pulled in. Exhale, the heels drop. I don't care if it's a ½ an inch or if it's all the way towards the ground. Inhale, go ahead and bring that up. What I do care about is your low back. Exhale as the heels reach forward and move down any amount, right? Keep the low back from overarching. Inhale, bring that back up. Nice and slow, slow your roll. Exhale, go ahead and reach those heels forward, really lengthen through the inner groin. And inhale, slowly bring it back up. That's kind of torturous, isn't it? And exhale, go ahead and reach those heels forward. The up is, you're still getting strength there too, but we often ignore it. We would just want to get out of there. Inhale, slowly bring it back. Bend those knees, hug them in. Maybe rock a little bit from right to left if that feels nice. You can interlace around the legs or behind the thighs, whatever feels nice. And then to come up, we're going to do a roll up. So you're going to grab the backs of the thighs. Take an inhale, let the hips lift, and with an exhale, try to roll up to a seated position. And we're going to look at boat pose, Navasana. So, from where you're at, grab the backs of the thighs, shoulder blades down the back, and get nice and tall, right? And she's looking for a really nice long spine here. I'll check it out in a second, but it's looking pretty good from this angle. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to start to rock back until you find your balanced position. Now, all of this is add-ons, just meaning you can stay right here. The main thing I don't want to happen is to have you lose the length of the low back or the upper back right now. That stays neutral the whole time, so that determines where you go. Maybe the calves lift up, maybe they don't. They might lift up parallel to the floor. You might straighten your legs. I personally can straighten my legs if I hold on to my legs, but I can't if I let go, yeah? And then from there, push through the ball bones of your toes wherever you're working from. So you almost like you're pushing into a block between your thighs. Get the inner groin to turn on, yeah? And then you may or may not release your arms forward. That's totally dependent on how you're feeling in your body. So again, I can't do straight legs, but I can work from here. So whatever's comfortable for you. And I have so much respect for when I bring my friends in, they really listen to their body and they live where they're supposed to live. Please do that for yourself, yeah? And then from there, you might not. Move to Navasana. What does that mean? You're going to push your ball mounds forward as you slide the shoulder blades down the back and start to lay the body out. And then on an inhale, use that belly, that 2 inches above your navel, to go ahead and bring that back up. And we're going to do that one more time. Exhale, you don't have to. You can listen to your body if it's like, no way, Jose. And then inhale, without popping, you try to pull it back up. Let's put the right shin in front of the left. And get super tall. You can join me here, Miss Laura. Get long through the side body as you start to fold out over those legs. And soften down in. Take a breath there. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Reach the chest forward and go ahead and come all the way back up. Put your left shin in front of your right. So let's get the other outer hip here. Get nice and tall. And then keep the length of the side waist as you begin the fold. And at some point in time, the whole body is going to round and soften into this. And you're going to take a full breath there, just letting that outer left hip. You might feel it somewhere else, but most of us feel it in the outer left hip. Take an inhale and exhale there. So we're going to come into downward dog. You can either just go ahead and roll over those knees with the legs crossed, just like they are, or you can bring the knees together, right, and swing the legs around, but we'll meet in downward facing dog however in the world you get there. And downward dog to me feels really, really good usually after doing core work. There's something really nice about it that just starts to open up that whole back body. So with the knees a little bit bent, reach the buttocks bones up and back, and yeah, try to find all that length in the spine. She just got like an extra ½ inch there, yeah? And then go ahead and keep that and let those heels start to soften down any amount, but of course the heels never have to reach the ground. The legs never have to straighten. Really listening to your body today. Go ahead and turn your hands out just a little bit, Miss Laura. So you want your pointer fingers to point forward. And that way you can find a little more of that external rotation of the arms. Now I won't go into that real in depth because it's not an external rotation kind of a day. However, take one more breath, inhale. And exhale there. We're going to start to warm up the core and the shoulders. Inhale, go ahead and come forward into plank, or I guess I should say challenge the core. We've already been warming up. You might need to move your toes back until your wrists are right underneath your shoulders, right? And then from there, we're going to work plank a little bit. So you can always bring the knees down. They would go back behind the hips. Reaching the inner heels back, the thighs get a little bit buoyant, right? Go ahead and shoulder blades down the back. Look a little forward so your chest reaches forward, Miss Laura, and push down into those hands so that you don't dip down between the shoulder blades. That actually has a slight lift between the shoulder blades. And then from there, go ahead and make sure what I always call is zipping up your zipper, right? You're pulling your pubic bone all the way forward through your chest. Now head back to downward facing dog. Anyone feeling their core yet? And inhale, head forward into plank. Now we'll move it on the breath. So now just one breath, one motion. And exhale back, downward facing dog. But you're still trying to find all that stuff we just found. Inhale, forward to plank. And I'm going to show the modification just in case Miss Laura's feeling like it's a lot, right? Rocking forward on the tippy toes, you might start to bend the elbows any amount. No going to the ground, only shoulder height, shoulder elbow height, and then inhale up to plank and exhale back to downward dog. We're going to do that again. The good news is you're coming to the earth. The bad news is I'd love for you to hover for a moment, shoulder at elbows height. Inhale, go ahead and come forward into plank. And rock forward on the tippy toes. Feel free to bring the knees down here if you want to. And then go ahead and bend the elbows. And try to hover when you get to the shoulder elbows height. And then come all the way down to the ground. Uncurl the toes, pressing to the tops of the feet. And inhale up into low cobra. Now you're not pressing the hands down to come up. The whole purpose, one of the main purposes of this posture is we want to try to get all of those muscles that run alongside the spine to turn on, right? That is part of the core, by the way. All the way up here is even part of your core. And go ahead and come on down. Go ahead and with the forehead on the ground, you can always move back if you want to be on your mat completely. Go ahead and interlace your hands behind your back. You can always use a strap if that's not accessible, right? Press into the tops of the feet so that the thighs get buoyant. Tailbone down with the elbows bent, let the shoulder heads lift just a little bit, and then start to straighten the arms, reaching the knuckles behind you to lift the shoulder heads, which of course lift the chest and the neck. You're not reaching with the chin, you're reaching through the crown of the head. And again, trying to find and feel that the muscles alongside the spinal column are really working here to hold you up. Take one more breath, and maybe on the inhale, the feet lift about an inch. If that goes into your lower back, do not lift them, leave them on the ground. And exhale, go ahead and come on down. And we're going to come right back up again. So this time you can switch the interlace, other index finger on top, if that makes sense. And if not, don't even think twice about it. Press into the tops of the feet, the thighs lift, the tailbone moves down, the shoulder heads lift lightly. And then with an inhale, lift the whole body into Shalabhasana. So the feet, the legs lift, the chest lifts, and the knuckles straighten. Reach back as the arms straighten any amount. And again, we're not reaching with the chin, we're reaching through the crown of the head. Find a nice long, all sides of the neck. I was going to say back, but we want all sides to be long. Take one more breath from the pit of the abdomen, reach in two different directions. And then from there, go ahead and come on down. You get your choice. You can come up either through low cobra or through Urdhva Mukha or upward facing dog. So the wrists are underneath the elbows move towards each other, the shoulder heads have a slight lift. To protect the low back, we push the feet down and lift the thighs, tailbone moves in, uncurl those toes. And inhale either into low cobra, or if you want to straighten the arms, move to upward facing dog, shoulders away from the ears. And then go ahead and either with your knees or without, head back to downward dog. We're all going to meet there. And I'm not going to teach upward facing dog, so if you don't know what it means, don't even think about it. You shouldn't be doing it right now anyway, right? This class isn't about upward facing dog. And go ahead and take one more breath. Inhale. And exhale there. We're moving forward on this next one. You're going to take a big ol' inhale and find length, thighs moving up and back. Exhale, come up on your tippy toes, bend your knees, look forward, step or jump to the top of the mat, whatever is your preference. Inhale and reach that chest forward so you'd still be in that forward fold. Exhale and fold in. And you can either put hands on the hips or the arms can extend out to the side, come all the way up to standing, whichever one is your preference. If you reach the arms out, you're going to come all the way up. And we'll all meet with our arms back down by our side. So go ahead and face the camera, Miss Laura, and stand in the middle of the mat. So we're going to do two standing poses, and with a focus, of course, on the core. So I guess it'll be 3 because we'll have chair in there. Oops, did I tell that? Go ahead and spread those feet nice and wide. Miss Laura is a tall gal. She's 6 feet, so she's going to go quite wide with those feet. So either step them out or jump them out nice and wide for warrior 2. And how wide? Well, when you put your arms out, your ankle should be underneath your wrist-ish, so you're going to need even more length. You are a tall, tall gal.
Are we there yet?
Now, we'll find out in a second. Go ahead and turn those toes straight forward. Put the hands on the hips. Now, we're going to move towards warrior 2 to our right. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to kick that left heel back or turn the left toes forward so you have a turnout on that back foot. Right? And then that whole right leg from right up there in the hip socket is going to turn until the knee, the shin, the toes, it all faces that way. The chest should face towards the long edge of your mat. Right? And then inhale those arms out nice and wide. Now exhale, go ahead and start to bend that right knee and come on in. So the first thing is the whole body wants to pitch forward towards the right leg. So we get this left hip crease to move in, right? And we pull the pelvis, the front right hip point up out of that so we keep nice and neutral. Now I want you to bring a little bit of awareness where we put our hand right at the beginning of class. And if that, it doesn't slam in, right? But if that area starts to lengthen up, right? Even though the hips stay heavy, does that help when we engage the core, the rest of the body, the limbs be able to maintain this position? I'm not saying it's easy. I know it's hard. She's working hard for me. Take one more breath, inhale. And exhale there. Maybe you can come a little deeper into that bend now that you're there. And then from there, you're going to push in the palm out of the right big toe to try to straighten and lengthen the right leg. So we're moving towards triangle. So go ahead and straighten that leg, right hip in the socket. Now that hip, the right hip is going to shift back as you reach and reach and reach and reach. And then go ahead and bring the hand down either onto a block or onto your leg. So this is where you would want that block potentially, yeah? And then from there, that left fingertip, the left arm reaches up initially, right? And again, that front leg, make sure it's straight. But I have some friends who hyperextend, so you want to think of your calf moving forward towards the short edge of your mat, right? If that's you, don't dump into the knee. Now, we're all going to do this. You're going to bring your left hand onto your left waist. And those are your oblique muscles, the main ones I'm trying to recruit right now. We tend to dome a lot in triangle, which means we're doing this number because we want something really, I don't know why we want something on the ground, but we sure do, right? So with your hand on that side waist, I want you to contract that muscle and feel how when you contract there, you start to lengthen through the right side waist, that both sides end up being equal, yeah? Try to rotate the rib cage so your chest is forward. Now keep the contraction of that left side waist. Reach the left arm back up to the sky. And actually, I'm going to bring you just a little higher, Miss Laura. Now come on. And then when you come up a little higher, get the hip in the socket. There you go. Now we're talking. And we can lengthen both sides. Now maybe, but maybe not, you're going to turn that left palm towards the right. And you're going to reach it all the way over till the bicep comes next to the ear. Yeah? And that's this one. And I don't shorten the right side waist when I do that. I keep the right side waist nice and long. And then from there with that left arm, I might recruit my right obliques to turn on. And it's like I've got a beach ball between my hands. And I'm not just dropping and lifting the arms up. But from the pit of the abdomen, I lengthen, I lengthen, I lengthen. And then from there, you're going to bend that knee and come into warrior 2. Straighten the leg, put the hands on the hips, turn the toes forward towards the front end of your mat. If you're working with a block, you're going to take a moment and move that block set up to the other side just so you have it ready for you when you head towards that triangle. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to kick the right heel back or turn the toes forward so that whole, not the whole leg, the foot is turned out, just the foot, sorry about that. From right in the left hip crease, we turn that whole left leg out. But the chest tries to face towards the long edge of the mat and we reach the arms out and take a big ol' inhale. With your exhale, start to bend the left knee, moving towards warrior 2. And I could talk a lot about the arms, the upper back, I could talk about the feet, and so on and so forth, right? But today my focus is the core. So the first thing to notice, right, is that that hip point, that left hip point is probably dropping down. So if we move, if we cut that right hip crease in a little bit, right, and if I lengthen that right side waist, that left hip point starts to pick up and we're a little more neutral. And now if that place where Miss Laura had her hand earlier, just above her navel, not pulls in so much as it just lengthens up through the crown of the head, does that help stabilize? I'm not saying it's not work, it's a ton of work. But now the limbs might be a little lighter. Maybe the legs don't have to work so hard because that place that we move from has now engaged to help you stabilize. Take one more breath. Don't worry, I'd be talking that much anyway, or even if I wasn't talking, you'd be holding it. And then from there, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna push into the ball mound of the left toe to try to lengthen and straighten that left leg. So straighten that left leg. And cut that left hip crease back and reach it forward. And then you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna place that hand down onto your blocks or onto your leg, whatever feels right for you. Right, the right fingertips start by reaching up, or I should say the right shoulder reaching up, ribs rotating forward. Your gaze can be wherever you'd like it to be. Keep rooting the ball on the left toe to keep that left leg active. Again, if you dump into the knee, think of your calf moving forward. And then bring your right hand onto your right obliques. And think about a little contraction happening there. And as that contracts, right, the hip and the ribs move towards each other. We lengthen the left side body. Now both sides are equal. That's awesome. Now reach the right hand back up and you can just work triangle. You might, and again I'll show the modification, the intensity, right? You might go ahead and you might start to reach that right arm over. Don't shorten the left side waist to do that. And then you might turn your left palm up and recruit your left obliques. And you might reach those arms up. And now get long. Keep that place turned on to lengthen out of that, right? So that both the side waist and that place, right, is turned on. It's technically your solar plexus chakra, by the way. And then from there, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna bend the knee and start to move into your warrior two. And then go ahead and straighten the leg, turn the toes forward, hands on the hips, and heels and toes and heels and toes and heel and toe that all the way in. We're gonna come to the ground, but we're gonna do it through chair pose. We get one more big shot of core. We're almost done. So turn forward towards the front edge of your mat again. And then from there, you're gonna go ahead and inhale, reach those arms forward and up. Step the ball mounds of the toes together. Forgot to tell you that piece. And exhale, as you start to sit down, the ribs would love nothing more. This just wants to expand and just dump, right? So I want you to find that length in the side waist, that contraction we were working on, and that upper belly pulling through the crown of the head. And you're gonna try to bring it all the way down to the ground. There might be a plop, you might need to come in a different way, you might need fingertips to help you down, right? All of these things are acceptable, totally awesome. And then your feet are already in position, let the legs butterfly out. This is where we're headed next. Baddha Konasana is the fancy name, bound ankle. Grab your ankles, pull against the ankles, and just like you did in boat pose, try to find that spine. You made it. We're through the core part. And then you're gonna go ahead and try to keep the length and keep the length. You might just work from right here, and if you're feeling stuff, right, just release the inner groin, you can stay up. If you move forward, instead of going into a full rounding today, we're gonna think about keeping a little bit of length in the spine. You can use those arms if they end up on your inner groin to just help. You're not shoving them down, you're lightly guiding them down and also out. And then breathe. You made it through the core, don't you worry, you're okay now. You're gonna inhale and you're gonna bring the body up. If it is okay to leave your legs like this, you're going to. You're gonna bring your hands back behind you. You'll keep that chest open as you start to come down to your elbows, and then just let the arms kind of come out into Shavasana. Now, if it's not okay to have your legs like this in Shavasana, go ahead and go all the way down to your back. Right? Then you can go ahead, but we're gonna take 2 breaths here. You can bring the knees up if you're like, no way, Jose. If it's going into your low back, you can lift the hips and reach the buttocks flesh towards the heels, and then we'll come back down. Try to find a sense of relaxing in the inner groin, which is not easy for many of us. And then you're gonna bring your hands onto your outer legs. You're gonna move those legs up towards one another. And go ahead and extend the legs out to straight, feet hip distance. Shavasana, you made it. Shoulder blades down the back, arms out from the side a little bit, palms up. Close the eyes. Release the forehead and the eyebrows and the muscles around the eyes and the tongue and the jaw. The shoulders, I skipped the neck, soften the neck please. The shoulders through the arms, hands and fingers. Soften the chest And then now we're starting to move into core is pretty vague, right? A lot of people think core is the six-pack abs, but it's all of the muscles of the abdomen. So soften through that upper abdomen. We worked that real good. Soften the lower abdominal muscles. Bring your awareness into your side waist and soften through the side waist. There's a couple of sets of muscles there that we worked real hard. And then bring your awareness into your upper back. Now all the muscles alongside the spinal column, right? Those are all part of the core too. So even in your upper back, on the sides of the spinal column, soften those muscles and just notice them. Note that they are part of your core, and let that come down through the mid-back and the low back. And of course the low back is not just the muscles alongside the spine, but everything that helps that low back area lengthen. That's all core. And depending on the school, right, even the hips are considered part of the core in some schools. They help stabilize us. Soften those hips. They worked real hard today. Soften the legs down through the feet and the toes. I'm going to take my voice out for a little bit. Know that I am there. Yeah? And I'll talk you out in just a few moments. Let everything we did integrate into the body. And bring your awareness back to your breath. And if it feels nice to wiggle fingers or toes, adding a little bit of movement back into the body, please do. It might feel nice to reach the arms overhead. All of these things are optional. You don't have to do any of them. When you're ready, you'll bend your knees. You'll roll kind of like a log over to your right? So the whole body, even that left shoulder and arm, come over with you. And then I have a favor. When you come up, that left hand goes in front of the chest, look down at it, and keep the head turned down so the neck stays soft. Push the floor away lightly with the left hand, and go ahead and come on up to seated. And Miss Laura, I'll have you face forward, and I'll face forward with you. You can always sit on something, but we won't be here for very long. Buttocks, bones heavy, the legs, the thighs, the knees heavy. But hopefully maybe you found a little bit of length. And again, you're not jamming the core in towards a center point or anything. Think more of lengthening all sides of your waist and your back up. Bring the palms together at the chest. Take a big ol' inhale. Exhale and bow your head towards your heart. Taking a moment of gratitude that you gave yourself this space and time. And maybe as you walk out into the world today, you can have some of that warrior confidence and that high self-esteem, and look internally for our self-worth instead of from external things. Namaste. Namaste, Ms. Laura. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Be empowered.